We've had some hazy days this month. Smoke, the result of wildfires burning in Colorado and other places, being blown into our area by the wind.
And there's been all sorts of research done on how wildfire smoke can be bad for our physical health, but it can also negatively impact our mental health. So Keely Chalmers joins us now to tell us all about this new research about the mental health impacts. I had no idea that it could affect your mental health.
This really is fascinating research and really underscores the importance of reducing the impacts of these wildfires, or simply reducing the number of these wildfires, which scientists agree will become more widespread and more intense as our climate warms.
High above the treetops,
wildfires can produce thick smoke that can travel long distances, causing a smoky haze in the air that we breathe. Every year, thousands of children are exposed to wildfire smoke. According to a new study out of the University of Colorado Boulder, those kids are at a greater risk of developing illnesses, not just respiratory, but mental illness.
So it's really kind of unknown what these extreme events are doing to people, both in terms of their kind of general health, their cardiovascular and their respiratory health, but also their mental health.
Harry Smolker is a research associate with CU's Institute of Cognitive Science. He and a team of researchers studied 10,000 9 to 11-year-olds over a span of a year. The researchers looked at the number of days the youngsters were exposed to fine particulate matter levels above EPA standards.
And in particular, what we found was that individuals who had more of those days with high levels of exposure showed higher levels of internalizing symptoms. So these are symptoms of depression and anxiety.
The reason for this, Smolker says, is because those fine particles in wildfire smoke are so small that when we inhale them, they get into our bloodstream and eventually into our brains.
And so you are essentially have these particles that can be all sorts of things. They can be heavy metals, they can be carbon, they can be all sorts of different substances that are actually now up against your neurons and other brain cells.
Smolker says once inside our brains, the toxins react.
And this triggers a neuroinflammatory response that appears to have both short-lasting but also potentially long-lasting effects on mental health.
Smolker's study is among the first to explore the behavioral impact of wildfire smoke exposure on preteens. It adds to a growing body of evidence that wildfires do impact our health.
I think this just kind of underscores the importance of getting a handle on climate change in many ways, because we know that with a sort of warming climate, we're going to be seeing even larger and more frequent wildfires, which is going to result in even more of these sort of extreme air pollution events.
Yeah, no question, important, but also a bit of a troubling study. So what can we do to protect our kids? Smolker says on those days where there's really high levels of pollution, we should probably stay inside, keep those windows tightly closed. And studies have shown HEPA filters actually do a really good job at reducing levels of fine particulate matter indoors. Of course, now everybody's going to be out investing in those HEPA filters because they really do help. And I want to point out, this is obviously only applies to those days that are very hazy, those high pollution days, which we have seen here in Colorado, and we saw them this summer.
We had dozens of them. I can't count how many times that I had to cancel my plans. We were going to a playground, we were going to a pool, and we just didn't go.
Good for you for not going.
Afraid.
Yeah, and I always thought it was because of, the upper respiratory system. I didn't want my child to develop asthma, but knowing now that it can actually affect the neurons in your brains, I mean, that just adds a whole nother layer to stay inside.
Absolutely. I mean, they're just so small. They get into our bloodstreams, they get into our brain, and what happens there, I mean, it's amazing, these researchers out there. I am so grateful to these researchers out there studying this stuff because it's so important, and we really don't know, the effects.
Yeah, knowledge is power.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Keely.